So I am wondering about, we'll give folks about, we'll try and make it worth it, Jenny. Alrighty, so we are, I'm gonna actually hop through this first slide and let's just get right to business today. So today the work that we're going to do is about multisyllabic work and how do we support our kids with research-based practices and some thoughtful routines when they get to big words. Even first graders are getting to big words now, multisyllabic work, and second grade for sure. They're getting ready to head on into third grade where much less foundational skills instruction takes place sometimes, and we want them the last half of this year to be really equipped for multisyllabic work. So here are the challenges of multisyllabic decoding for kids. The words are tricky, and they're tricky to learn because a lot of times the letters are used with sounds in complex ways. Very few, there are some, but most multisyllabic words have vowel combinations of some sort in one of the syllables or another. So they're tricky because they have complex spelling patterns, even just in the syllable pattern. Also, we have different ways of pronouncing words in our language. Sometimes words have a Greek root, sometimes they have a Latin root. And so because our language is made up of multiple origins, sometimes the way we pronounce a word is a little bit tricky, and it affects the way we spell it and the way we put the emphasis on a syllable. And then finally, it puts a really big load on a student's memory system. And they have to hold so many things in that memory to be able to work through that word. They have to know the sounds within the first syllable, blend those together, hold them. They have to know the sounds in the next syllable, blend them together, blend the two syllables together. And then if there's a third syllable, even that one again. So it puts quite a bit of taxing on the working memory and makes accuracy pretty hard for kids. So we're going to spend some time on that, and that's why it's really pretty tricky for kids. Here are some common errors. So this is an article from Kearns and Whaley. It is actually a tremendous article. It's pretty long and pretty detailed, but we pulled a few things from it. If you were interested in it, we can put it up on the Padlet. It's pretty detailed, but you may be interested in doing some more reading here after today. So here's some common mistakes that kids make with the multisyllabic words. On the left is the word, and then let's work our way across. So the word adventure. A lot of times kids will look at the first three letters, and we know struggling kids do this. They look at the first couple of letters and then they guess after that. So they may guess the word advice. So they look at the ADV and guess. Amid, they may use the wrong vowel sound. It is a plausible pronunciation, meaning it does make sense. They may say amid, and on one hand, they may get close to the word in terms of context, but they use a long vowel instead of the schwa of a. Beautiful, they say the B and the T, but they get the vowel, the base word of beauty, and then they don't see the suffix. So they put another vowel combination in there. They see the EA, they see the T, it's beetle. Another would be glory. So they pronounce the base word glory correct, but they actually skip that suffix. So you can see that there are all kinds of different things that students do, which we experience every single day when they have a multisyllabic word or a big word. And the one that I see the most often is the first one. They look at the first couple of letters and then they guess. I'm working with a little boy in the mornings virtually. He's from Uganda. He's 11 and he reads at the beginning second grade level. And I've been working with him 3 days a week. And that is the first thing I noticed with him. He looks at the first couple of letters and guesses, and off he goes. So we're trying to retrain that brain for the students who do that to actually have a more efficient way of looking at words. So we're going to talk about those today. There are two ways that we think about multisyllabic instruction. two different approaches. So if you just only walked away with one thing today, it would be that there are two different approaches, and that we as teachers make the decision about which of those approaches we want to use. So the first one is a syllable-based approach, and that is really where the students break the word down by syllables. And we'll talk about that. You've seen Shelby and I, if you've seen us model, you have seen us do that probably in some of the classrooms in your school. Syllable-based strategy, where you're looking at each syllable, then blending it. Then there is a morpheme-based strategy. The morpheme-based strategy teaches children much like the program of rewards. This is a morpheme-based strategy. Look for prefixes, look for suffixes, find the base, blend. There are advantages to both, and Shelby and I are a little bit biased here. The research suggests that the morpheme-based strategy, if there are morphemes, is the better strategy for students to use first. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we go. So the syllable-based strategy is when they look for the syllables in written words. What it requires of students is that they know that every syllable has a vowel, and almost always have a vowel combination. Not always, but have a vowel sound. And they have vowel patterns to go with that sound. The most effective strategy here for syllable-based blend, multisyllabic blending, is using the vowel first blending routine. And the way we do that is we look at each syllable, find the vowel blend, find the vowel blend, find the vowel blend. So let's take a look at that. It is a strategy that we have on the literacy routine map. And I'm going to do that right here. Actually, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and pull up the vowel first blending. Vowel first blending routine that we have ready to go. All right, here we go. So we're going to, oh, sorry, I think I didn't click the buttons. Just a second. Let me click those so you can hear them. You may have looked at this strategy on the literacy routine map before. And if you haven't, we'll take a look at it now. Goodness. I am not on the top of my game for sharing today. Let me start over. All right. Here we go. All right, just give it 1 second. All right, here we go. Rose, can you confirm that you can see this?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, here we go. So we're going to look at how you would take a syllable blending approach to multisyllabic words.
Lexi, are we supposed to hear something?
Do you not hear it?
Nope, we can't hear it. We can see the screen that had the literacy map up, and now it just disappeared.
What do you see now?
Now we have you that looks like a video.
Good, good. Okay, let's try it now. Make sure that you can. Let me know if you can't hear it. Let's take a look at how we might support students with multisyllabic decoding. Prior to doing this work, it's important that all of the spelling patterns have been taught that you're going to use within the words. So that's the first thing. Be sure that each multisyllabic word that you're working with has spelling patterns in it that you have already taught. Then you're ready to put in this kind of a strategy. It's one kind of strategy. So you'll cover the second or third syllable, leaving the first syllable exposed, and your fingers are really underneath the vowel pattern, because what we know about students who struggle is that they often don't see the vowel pattern first. So we point that out, and then we blend that syllable, and then we move forward through the word. So we go like this: sound, ow, blend, out. Sound,
I, blend, side. Blend, outside, word, outside. Here's the next one. Sound, ah, blend, land. Suffix, ing, blend, landing, word, landing. So you probably noticed with the suffix, we didn't sound it out because I've already taught them this suffix. I wouldn't put in a prefix or a suffix that I haven't taught yet. And then I teach them how to sound that word out using suffix. So it would be sound, blend, land, suffix, ing, blend, landing, word, landing. So I'm pretty explicit with my instructions. Number one, I point out the vowel pattern. Number two, we blend that syllable. Number three, we go to the next one. And if it's a vowel pattern, we do it all over again. If it's a prefix or a suffix at the end of the word or the beginning of the word, I call that out as a prefix or suffix. Then we blend all of the syllables together. Then we come back and we read the whole word. This strategy helps students be able to break down small words. So if you were not inclined to cover, you wouldn't have to. You could say sound ow, blend out. Sound I, blend side. Blend out, side, word, outside. So that would be a-okay as well. A lot of times with struggling readers, we cover that syllable so they can just focus on the one. When you take the stickies off as you go, no need to go back and cover these. You can just leave them open. They'd already read them. So that's one strategy with multisyllabic decoding.
All right. All right. So will you type into the chat box what might have been something that you noticed with that multisyllabic decoding strategy at the syllable level? So you may have been doing that work, and if you have, that is fantastic. And will you type into the chat box what is something you noticed when you were watching that video? So let me stop this and fix it. Or you know what? There are very few of us here today. If you want to unmic, you sure can.
I'm fighting with the computer like you are, just getting to my chat box.
That's okay, Rose. Tell me, what did you see when you watched that syllable blending?
Yeah, kind of like Jenny said, that you'd have to practice this a bit to remember. So
Yes.
just like to be able to have the routine itself down, very much also checking to make sure that we had taught those sounds of
Yes.
those blends before we actually went to reading some of the words, because I think sometimes our vocabulary, the way it's presented, we haven't always taught those words that might be in a story that we're going over.
Yeah, so that's really great. Let me go there and then I'll come to you, Jenny. So a couple of things. If I were doing this with vocabulary words, not necessarily in the foundational skills pattern, I would model that blending and have kids do it with me. I wouldn't have them do it on their own yet, because like you said, we don't know for sure if all those patterns have been taught or maybe they haven't. So for vocabulary, it is a very great strategy for vocabulary words, just doing that work more as an I do or a we do, not independently. When you are working within your foundational skills lessons, by the middle of first grade, you probably have some multisyllabic words. Second grade and third grade, for sure, you do have multisyllabic words in your foundational skills. That's when you bring in this strategy more as a you do. So you model it and practice it, and then bring it in more as a you do because you're working with those very sounds. So really excellent point. So Jenny, you mentioned that practicing, it might be important to practice Absolutely right. So one of the things that you would see Shelby and I doing if we're together is practicing the multisyllabic words that are within the foundational skills lesson. We never walk into a classroom to model without checking on those multisyllabic words first, and then making some decisions about how we're going to cover and blend. So absolutely right. And then sometimes we even text each other in the morning if we're not in the same place, and we will say, all right, how would you do this? How would you blend this word with a syllable focus? So yeah, really great job. In the, let me see if I can show you in the literacy routine map. You can see this. Let me see if I can show you. In the literacy routine map, you will see to the very right, you will see under vowel first blending with multisyllabic words, number 7, you will see fingers under the vowel pattern, sound, tap, blend the syllable. Then repeat the step, sound, tap, blend the syllable, sound, tap, blend the syllable. Then you blend the whole thing and words. So in case you're like, what were the steps that you saw in that video? They are in the far right box of the literacy routine map. So just in case you were like, I can't remember what those steps were. Also, we found that when we are working with teachers who are really trying to learn how to do this work, we find that they often practice together. So at PLC time, we work with some schools where at PLC time, they've looked up ahead and each brought one word, one multisyllabic word, and they practice doing that multisyllabic blending together, or grade level team meetings, or we've even seen schools do it with staff meetings. And they have 2 words of the week for the staff meeting, and they start their staff meeting with practicing blending those 2 multisyllabic words. So that's a way to help as well. It is not a piece of work that is always easy to do on your own. So really good time to have a colleague. All right, so let's practice for a minute. I'm not going to do thriving because I actually didn't have the dropped E in that video. So I don't want you to do thriving. I want you to do outing and magnet. So will you write those 2 words, if you can, somewhere right now, or if you need to, you can just practice on the screen and pretend that you have a Post-it. So with the word outing, you would cover what parts? What would you cover? You cover the suffix, right? Okay. So let's do outing together. So you have the suffix covered. So it's finger under the sounds of ow. Ready? Sound, ow, blend, out, uncover, suffix, ing, blend, outing, word, outing. Now I want you to try magnet on your own. Try magnet on your own. The first thing you do, so here's a little quick cue. Spot the vowel, read the syllable. Spot the vowel, read the syllable. Okay. All right. Try magnet on your own. Just whisper, read to yourself. Whisper, blend to yourself. And then just type in yes when I'm done, when you're done. Or say yes, done. All right, excellent. So let's see if this is what you did. Cover the net, finger under the A, finger under the A. Ready? Sound, A, blend, mag. Sound, blend, net. Blend, mag, net, word, magnet. Hopefully that's kind of what you did. So just We can put, Shelby and I can do a little more work to be able to provide some additional videos for you so you can see how to do different kinds of words. For example, with the word thriving, we would actually cover the ing, and on our post-it, we would put an E, because actually the base word there is thrive. So it would be sound I, and our fingers would be on the I and the E that's on the post-it. So it'd be sound I, blend, thrive. Pull the post-it down, suffix ing, blend, thriving. Because if we do it this way, it's right? So it's thriving. So we want students to know that that base word actually has an E. So Shelby and I can do a few videos as I'm thinking about this and watching y'all. I'm thinking, oh, okay, let's do a few videos for different kinds of syllable types. So, okay, so that is, let me go back. That is a syllable focused blending routine. So we're working at the syllable level and blending those all together. Now let's talk about, oh yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Is this like a daily thing you teach whole class kind of in the beginning?
Yep, I would, Jenny, especially second and third grade. First grade students don't get to multisyllabic work until middle of the year, really, or towards the end of the year. So for second and third, 100%. And it would be with your words that you're using for decoding. It's helpful to do it with the vocabulary words, but kids aren't working on those spelling patterns as deeply. So absolutely. Can you remind me, Jenny, what age of students you teach?
I actually teach kindergarten, so I probably wouldn't do this quite yet.
Yeah, you wouldn't. That's right. So kindergarten really is the continuous blending routine. And then at the end of the year, your blending routine would be more like sound by sound blending.
Right.
But yep. Yeah, for second and third grade, kids need to be all about this. So they go on into third and fourth grade, ready to handle those big words with a strategy. Yeah, great question. And it'd be every day, every time you have a multisyllabic word in your lesson. Yeah, great question. Okay, let's move. Let me double check and make sure there are no questions in the, yeah, okay, videos would be good. So now let's talk about the morpheme-based strategy. And actually, with a morpheme-based strategy, this is a very efficient way for students to approach a word. The morphemes are the frequent parts that are usually longer than the specific grapheme. So I'll show you that in just a minute. When students divide words using morphemes, there are fewer parts of the word, and this makes decoding easier. Also, this is the most important part, bullet number 2. Morphemes have their own meaning. So when kids can approach a big word looking for the morphemes, they can understand the vocabulary of that word better and actually understand the text better. So let's take an example here. So these are two very, very long words, right? The top word, if we broke that word apart by morphemes, there are 6 morphemes. So there are 30 letters in this word. It's actually longer than the bottom word. But this word does have morpheme patterns in it. So it is pseudo, which is false, hypo, which is extra or more, para, I can't remember the definition of para, sorry, thyroid, and then ism is a condition of. So it is a fake over something thyroid condition. So now I don't even know this word in terms of if I were to read it all the way through. However, if I were to look at it by syllables, there are 12 syllables in the word. So I would have so many things I would have to remember back syllables. However, when I approach it, so when you see the top of the word, there are 6 morphemes: pseudo morpheme, hypo, para, thyroid, ism. So now I have bigger chunks and fewer of them when I'm approaching a really long word. Underneath that word are the morphemes or the syllables. So look how many syllables there are that students have to hold in their head. So that is an example of how a morpheme decoding or deconstruction of a big word is easier than syllables. And not only that, but the morphemes hold the meaning. Syllables do not hold meaning. So if we want students to think about how to approach a big word, syllables hold meaning. And the bottom word, I happen to know this word when I was in high school. It's a Hawaiian word. When I went to when I was in high school, I was fascinated by this word, and I worked and worked and worked and worked to be able to say it. It is one morpheme. That's it. It is the name of a fish, and it is one morpheme. So I don't have the possibility of taking apart by morpheme. So I have to take it apart by syllables, which is tricky. And it's huma huma nuka nuka awapa waha. And I had to practice so many times to be able to say it because it was very, very tricky. So this is just kind of the difference between a morpheme-based multisyllabic approach on the top that you see and a syllabic approach with taking apart the syllables. So let me just have you unmic or unmute or type into the chat box for a minute. When you're thinking about it this way, what are some things you're thinking about? And if you don't have too many thoughts, it's okay.
I do like how they're in little parts. I notice I like words, so I like to do this with big, huge words, take it into little parts. So I think that helps out the kids.
Beautiful. It does help out the kids. And as students are in 2nd and 3rd grade, being able to have them know the meanings of those parts is so important. So let's move on and talk a little bit more about this. So a morpheme is the smallest part of a word that has meaning. Smallest part of the word that has meaning. It's not the smallest sound. It's the smallest word chunk that has meaning. Morphology is really the study of morphemes, and morphological awareness is the understanding that words are put together with morpheme parts. So let's see if we can figure this out. And I'll not have you type them in, but I want you to just take this on your own just for the sake of time. How many morphemes are in the word teach? So morphemes are meaningful units. How many morphemes are in the word teach? And if you want to type into the chat box, you can, or you can unmute and tell me what you think. How many in the word teach? Some brave soul. Nice job, Snake. Love your question mark after. Yep, one morpheme. That's right. There is one morpheme in the word teach. It is a unit. Nice job. How many morphemes in the word teacher? How many word parts that have meaning? Ah, there we go. 2. Nice work. Teacher, teach has one morpheme, and ER means one who. So it is one who teaches. Great. Teachers. How many morphemes in the word teachers? Yeah, beautiful, Rose. 3. More than one who teach, right? So ER is one who. The S is more than one, so it is more than one who teach. Beautiful job. All right, here we go. Salamander. How many morphemes in the word salamander? A little bit harder. All right, so let's see. Salamander has one morpheme. Here's the tricky thing. When you have taught students the ER suffix, a lot of times when they see ER words, they think it is a suffix. So it's really important to teach them that sometimes ER is used as a suffix of one who or that which, but many times it is part of a base word, which is right here. All right, how many morphemes in the word instruction? What do you think? How many?
I'm gonna guess 2.
All right. So there are actually, good guesses, everybody, there are actually 3. So the base word is struct, and the prefix in and the prefix ion, we say it shun, but the prefix ion or suffix ion is the 3rd morpheme. So the base word is struct, in and ion are the morphemes. So good work, that was great. So we're just taking a look at what are morphemes. So this is called the peeling off strategy. And this is strategy that I would teach my students once I have taught them some prefix and suffix work, then you can begin this. So this peeling off strategy, this is what rewards or phonics for reading in the later lessons. This is the strategy that Anita Archer wrote for the kids called peeling off. So you teach them to separate the words by affix. So you teach them, look for the prefix, look for the suffix, find the base word, and then put it all together. Once they know that base word, they can reassemble it, putting the prefixes and suffixes together with the base. So this is called the peeling off strategy. So in order to be really clear about our work with affixes, we're actually going to watch a video, and I want you to tell me, Rose, if you can see the video. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see well, I can see your map.
Oh, okay. Let me stop and share again. Excellent. Thanks for telling me. All right. Now, do you see me?
Yep.
Okay. Excellent. Oh, man, I better make sure I'm clicked on here for sound. Sorry, everybody. That wasn't. Here we go. All right. So now, here, this is a strategy. You can see it, right, Rose?
Yes.
Okay. So here's what I want you to think about with this video. We teach students the prefixes and suffix work, and that starts actually even a little bit at the end of kindergarten when you're teaching them the S, like more than one, or maybe ES or ED. Oftentimes the end of kindergarten teaches ED. Early on into kindergarten or late in kindergarten, beginning of 1st grade, you may be teaching ing. So this occurs really soon when you begin to have affixes introduced. So we want to be sure that we are explicit with students so they tuck them into long-term memory. A lot of reading programs, we talk about the suffix or the prefix, but we don't teach it to them explicitly or with enough repetition to be able to put it in long-term memory, and then they actually can't use it. So we want you to watch this video with the idea of explicit instruction for prefixes and suffixes. Oops. And here we go.
Let's talk about how we might support our students with prefix and suffix knowledge. This helps unlock the pronunciation and meaning of unknown words. So we would be a my turn, your turn, so that students aren't guessing at the pronunciation or the meaning of the affixes that we're working with. So it's pretty simple. My turn, prefix re. Your turn, prefix re. My turn, meaning again. Your turn, meaning again. So to introduce them, we're very explicit. My turn, prefix. My turn, suffix. And then my turn, meaning. Your turn, meaning. After we have taught students the pronunciation and the meaning for a couple of days, then we can do some review. So let me show you what that would look in real time. My turn, prefix, re. Your turn, prefix, re. My turn, meaning again. Your turn, meaning again. My turn, prefix, s. Your turn, prefix, s. My turn, meaning more than one. My turn, prefix, miss. This is a suffix, by the way, sorry. My turn, prefix, miss. Your turn, prefix, miss. My turn, meaning wrong or badly. Your turn, meaning wrong or badly. My turn, prefix, un. Your turn, prefix, un. Meaning not. Your turn, meaning not. Then, if we are just reviewing, I can say prefix, meaning, suffix, meaning, prefix, meaning, prefix, meaning. You notice that I probably said s here instead of prefix suffix s, and that is because we want students to give the sound. When they are blending unknown words, they don't say dog s, they say dogs. So we want them to give the sound, not the name of the prefix or the suffix. Hopefully that's helpful with prefix and suffix work.
All right.
Let's talk about how we might support our students.
Sorry. Will you
Lex-
please, yep, what questions do you have?
Lexi, I have a question.
You bet.
Would you ever put this up full, like if you were doing those 4
Mhm.
with the actual words next to it, the definitions that you had?
Yeah, so a lot of times, and you didn't see that today in my little board, but we really recommend that you do put the meaning underneath it. So a lot of times schools will make cards with their prefixes and suffixes, and they put the meaning right underneath there so kids can see it. Also, then when you post them, we recommend that they be posted on the left side of the board, wherever you're teaching. The left side of the board would be prefixes, the right side of the board would be suffixes, and the meaning would be underneath there. So they would see pre and suffix. So yes, absolutely. I didn't have it on that little board, but 100% right. Just a very little student-friendly definition. Yeah. What other questions do you have or things that you noticed as you were looking? Okay, so when Shelby and I are looking through reading programs, what we notice is that a lot of times teachers are talking about the prefix or suffix, but students don't get a ton of practice. So this really takes that idea. Maybe you have the prefix un in your lesson, and maybe the prefix miss. And in the materials, it says show a few words with those prefix, talk about the meaning of those prefixes. But what we see is that students don't get the direct amount of practice that they need to tuck it into long-term memory. So this, and then you would do that each day of the week. I'm going to go back to that question that was asked earlier. You would review these prefixes or suffixes that you're working on each and every day of the week. And then you, of course, would apply them into the words that you are reading. For example, the word outing. So in that week, ing, if you haven't taught it already, ing would be a suffix. So you would teach the ing suffix like this. Then when you go to your multisyllabic blending, you then have that suffix ing. If you haven't taught the prefixes and suffixes explicitly, the multisyllabic routine, either of them, is not very helpful. So just a consideration for teaching them explicitly. So we're going to take just this first row, our first column. So we're going to go down on this first column: credible, discredit, credence, incredulous. So no need to type them in. I just want you to practice thinking about them. I want you to practice finding the prefix. So you're going to circle or identify the prefix or identify the suffix. And then for kids, you would, oops, sorry. You would underline the root. So try the word credible for a minute and just see what you think. What would the affix be? And what would the base or root word be? All right, so now let's go down to the next word, discredit. Are there any prefixes? So we're teaching children, look for prefixes, look for suffixes, and then find the base word or root word. So look at the word discredit. Okay, go down to credence. Then down to incredulous. All right. Okay, so let's take a look. Is this how you broke up the word? So the base word is cred, and that means the quality of being believable or worthy of respect. So the base word, a root word of cred means quality of being believable or worthy of respect. And able means, oh, I just taught this last week. I should know this prefix, or this suffix meaning. Let me look it up really quickly because I just did it last week in Dillingham. All right, it means to be able to. So it is to be able to have worthiness of believable or worthy of note. So credible. Now drop down to discredit. We have our root of cred, worthy of or believable. Dis meaning not. And then it, I haven't looked up it, but discredit, I think, is the act of not believing, being believable or worthy of. So that's the idea of helping kids be able to look at the multisyllabic words with a morpheme approach, prefix, suffix, base word, or root word. So this work is actually in the 3rd grade standards, that kids be able to read words using the morphology within a word. So that means we have to teach them the root, the prefix, suffix work, and teach them the base and root work as well. So let's look at this just a little bit. There's a difference just for the last little bit of our time. There is a difference between the phonological approach, meaning syllable, to a piece of work, or morpheme. So in the word contraction, if we were to look at the syllables, contraction. And if we were to look down below at the morphemes, the root word is tract, and the morpheme, the prefix con, and the morpheme ion. So just a little bit of difference in a word like contraction, but it's important to know the difference so that when we're teaching multisyllabic strategies, we can say to students, we're using a syllable-based approach to take apart our big words, or we're using a morpheme-based approach, meaning look for the prefix, look for the suffix, find the base or root. So also when you think about syllables, so that really is by the phonological approach. And let's look at this, a lot of these words with the syllable approach. Tractor would be tractor, dividing between the two consonants. A morpheme approach would be tract or. The base is tract and the suffix is or. Poetry, those are the 3 syllables. And poetry. So let me do a couple more. Unicycle or unicycle. This is a good example of looking at it through the syllables. There are 4 divisions there, right? 4 different units they have to hold in their working memory. Through a morpheme approach, uni meaning one, cycle meaning wheel, one wheel. Super easy, and they know the meaning. Everything in this column, if they know the base and they know this, the morpheme type, they know the meaning. Underplayed, underplayed. So under meaning below, play, we know play. ED meanings happened in the past. So below, play, in the past. Underplayed. All right, so just really important to know that when we are working with multisyllabic decoding, that we as teachers are aware. Are we going to take a syllabic approach, multisyllabic? and find the vowel blend, find the vowel blend, or are we going to take a morpheme approach because we have been teaching them prefixes or suffixes? The goal is that they process those long words as quickly and accurately as they can. All right, so now I want you to just think about what might be something, and you can do the chat box or you can unmute, either one's okay. What might be something you were thinking about today as you were listening and kind of considering those two approaches for multisyllabic work? And I'll actually go to each group. So anybody can start, but I would love to hear from everybody if we have a chance today.
This doesn't totally apply to me in kindergarten, but I love that it helps me see, you know, how I can break apart words, and I can see how it can help in the older grades, because it is fun to hear, to know what the words or the parts mean. I like that.
Yeah, isn't that great, Jenny? And it's nice that we have two different approaches and that we can intentionally offer and practice them with students so that struggling kids don't realize that there are things that are happening within most of the other students in the room, that students are naturally chunking those words, that they are naturally looking for the syllables and blending or doing what we call syllable flexing. They try it this way and then they try it this way, or they look at the word morphologically. Good readers just move to the vowel and deal with the vowel, put the syllables together. Poor readers are like, I guess I'll start at the beginning of the word and see what happens. It goes back to that green chart. I think I'll start with the first three letters and then I'm going to guess. And so we want to be sure that they have at least one other strategy, either a morpheme-based or a syllable-based strategy. Yeah, thanks, Jenny. Excellent. Rose, I saw you unmute too. How about you?
I like the morpheme approach, especially for the older kids, because then it gives meaning and it has less for them to hold in their memory.
Yep.
So they can put it together a little easier. My looking at it would be that we made sure and had a list of what the different meanings of the prefixes and suffixes were, so
Yep.
that we ourselves are able to teach those the right.
Yep, absolutely, Rose. And I was thinking while I was sitting here, we have a list of the most common 20 prefixes, most common 20 suffixes. I will put those into the Padlet because you're right. They have the morpheme chunk, then they have the meaning, and they have a way that it might be used. So, we didn't tuck that onto the Padlet, and we should have today. So we will tuck those in there. Absolutely. Oh, yeah, you're welcome, Snake.
Yeah.
Okay, you were wishing for that too. Okay, yeah, and you saw
Awesome.
me get caught. I hadn't looked up the suffix it, and I'm like, oh wait, just a minute. And so it's super helpful. We also have a list of, I think it's the 50 most common Greek and Latin roots. And if I would have had that chart, I could have looked up cred and then looked up dis. I know dis is not, but I didn't know it. So I could have looked really quickly before I was teaching. So we will put the prefixes, suffixes, and the list of Greek and Latin roots up there. Yeah. Excellent. All right. You are welcome. Janae, anything for you that you are thinking about while we've been working today? All right, we'll give her just a little bit, or give her a chance if she wants to respond in the chat box. All right, excellent job. All right, beautiful job, everybody. Are there any more questions? A couple of things that I'm taking away from our time together. One is, it would be good for Shelby and I to do some videos to be able to show you a variety of kinds of words, like a dropped E, how to do a dropped Y. My oldest grandson this week is doing all of his spelling words are Y and then dropping the Y, like in cries, drop the Y, change to I, add ES. How would you do that? Even though it's a single syllable word, how would you do that? In the word, like in the word parties, how would you do that? in the word carried. How would you drop the Y, add the I and the ED suffix? So there's some videos I think that Shelby and I could do that would help with some multisyllabic work at the morpheme level. So maybe that would be helpful. Yeah, okay, great. And then the other is we will pop in the prefix suffix charts and the Greek and Latin roots. On the prefix suffix charts, they are in order of use. So the top 4 are the 4 most common prefixes or the 4 most common suffixes. And I think they make up 50% of the affixes that are used in words. So we really want kids to be able to master those 8 for sure. And then they go in kind of in order of frequency. So I will put those up on the Padlet. So those are 2 things that I will do. I will do one right away. And then Shelby and I will take a look at some videos. So beautiful job. Thank you for being here. And for those of you who are watching by video, we're happy you're here and hope you get some value as well. So if you will take just a minute and either do the QR code. Sometimes folks say the link doesn't work. So if for some reason you can't do that QR code, you could just email Shannon, or you could let me know that it's not working and we'll see what we can do to get you attendance. So also if you're watching by video, if you will just use the QR code and record your attendance, that would be super. I'll leave it up for just a little bit. So thank you so much. And Jenny, thank you for being here on your spring break. That's pretty awesome. And it was a topic that your kindergarten kids aren't even here yet. So awesome for being here.
You bet. Thank you.
Yeah, you betcha. All right, everybody. I enjoyed the time with you. Thank you for being here. And we will we'll see you the next time we get together. And if you're on spring break, enjoy it. If you have spring break, which most of you looks like you do next week, have a great one, everybody. If you're having trouble with the QR code, let me know. Otherwise, I think we will be good to go. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Lexi.
Yeah, we'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.